So here's what I basically found in these dark webs. Essentially the people that start doing these contracts. See, normally they're just like in an S&M, and that slowly the S&M outfits them with speakers. And then they start training. These are some of the names. And that essentially they also have to have a version of a satanic sex slave. I call it MK Mormon Me. It's a variant of it's a variant of the MK Ultra. It's like, it's like the female version mixed with a diametric SS version. Then it has some modern, speaker tech aspects to it, but it's essentially it's like the KGB would require people to be sex slaved before they could do undercover stuff. It trains people in two ways. Essentially, their first life, they'll be pretty much normal-ish. And then when there's some sort of secret code, then they switch into second life. It operates on a sleeper style, where essentially it utilizes amnesia in lots of ways. And so the sleeper style represents people that are pretty much just living normal day to day, and then all of a sudden they remember something, and then they wake up is what the term is. But it operates around this type of satanic sex slave. And so essentially they'll still be doing a first and a second life. The second life will be what they do online, and that essentially at some point there's a memory trigger that triggers them to be remembering whatever it is. So the infatuation in the tech world, they call it tech brains. Part of this part is to constantly have people psych-copying. Basically, that's what story brains are. Essentially, they follow a whole group has an integrated taping system, in that then it operates with people doing live psych-copying in the speakers. And it's an attempt, it's essentially just they tell them where to go and stuff like that, and it has full ranges of different types of ideas to it, but it's essentially where somebody tells them in their speakers where to go and what to do. It has aspects of doing this type of stuff. These are all basically here's all the names of what people might consider, they just have different labels of basically what is the same thing. They have different things that they're doing in the world, but in the end, they're doing something that's related to these contractor systems, and that they're all highly illegal militant war systems, and that anybody that's doing this stuff is essentially this part right here. at any moment, all it would take is for some like Nazi or Russian intelligence or Islamic terrorist to essentially start telling people where to go and what to do. And so that's kind of like where people do things that all of a sudden people on dark web are like, why the fuck are they doing that? And that is pretty much the indicator where normally people like aren't really doing that much, maybe hacking. There would be pedophilia, sex, prostitution, and drugs. That would be normal-ish. Well, it's not normal, but that would be common on the dark web. And then all of a sudden they'll see people doing things in hacking that they would never do. That's an indicator. Nobody will really know because basically they'll be like not very smart. They'll be run-of-the-mill, just online dark web kind of people all the time. And then all of a sudden they'll be able to do things in a hacking way. They'll start blatantly like torturing people in like a tech psycho way. They'll start, and that is the kind of stuff that they'll start exposing themselves, and then they'll blatantly know that they're trying to cover up stuff, and then they're not doing what that would be. It's like, you know, in the modern world, this WikiLeaks kind of stuff and this anarchist cookbook kind of stuff is a little more available. The whole idea is that hackers, they attempt to take WikiLeaks type of stuff. They attempt to figure out what that stuff would be, and then they like a cover up. So like what would be the CIA's typical procedural cover up? That type of stuff is seen on WikiLeaks. And that the hackers, they attempt to market themselves as people that'll do that. But see, they don't just do that stuff. That's basically it. They don't just do that stuff because the whole idea is that the dark web is a whole worldwide kind of a thing, and that the reality is that real agency people have a massive presence all over it. And that due to the fact that most hackers know that, and that in the past the military guys would go around like explaining to hackers that were doing S&Ms and shit on like what in an agency kind of way would ever be allowable and shit. And so then you have like these type of people, this stuff, these type of people. All of a sudden they'll get onto somebody, they'll be able to access somebody's speaker, and then they'll be highly psychoping the fuck out of them in like a top level fucking militant fucking way that's super psychotic and causes people to commit suicide. That's the kind of shit that's not allowed ever. And then this tech brain stuff, that stuff is a little different. The hackers, they essentially, they just humorously like, it's like somebody tells them what to do and what to say. And so if they need like, if they need to do an explanation about law, then they'll go and suck some dude's law wiener or something. And it's just kind of a joke. It's a joke. Yes, the hackers are a little more free-spirited sexually, and that's the kind of stuff that when the military guys see that, that's how they know that those hackers are basically just with adults. That those hackers are basically just, they're just kind of doing that stuff for humorous reasons. It's just what it is. And so the whole idea is that stuff doesn't mean anything. It's like what they do after they switch to a different person telling them what to do. And that basically it's made for like mercs and chats. It's like, they'll have like these challenges to be the administrator for a chat room. And that then, if they can't achieve their goal, they'll run over to their buddy that's smarter at law and they'll suck their wiener or something. And then they'll come back. And they do an acting, a humorous acting aspect to it. And that is where then they rise to the top and become an administrator over some 4chan chat or something. Okay? That is anything beyond that is pretty much not allowed. This stuff, the tech knock stuff, see, all this stuff, this is like where I found people that essentially the military guys make discussions about, they would just do like, oh, I gotta drive to work. And then somebody would they would say a story in their speaker, like a novel or a fiction novel, and that kind of stuff, that's it. See, they wouldn't access somebody's speaker illegally, and they wouldn't start torturing somebody into suicide. They wouldn't do sound association. They wouldn't do like cognitive sound tortures and shit. They wouldn't do highly psychotic sick fuck shit, right? So that's the difference, okay, Mormons? You guys are doing this. This right here is the highly psychotic sick fuck shit. That's where you guys basically bombard somebody with like sound manipulations and then you start torturing them in all senses, in all ways. That's what that is. That's what you guys are doing. And then when you guys sit around with your guys' weird pedal bang fucking AA people and you guys sit there pressing buttons every time somebody moves their fucking hand, that shit. That's the psychotic sick fuck shit. You guys aren't allowed to sit around and to torture people into suicide. Okay? That's not allowed. So the whole idea is that if they're doing that, if they refuse to accept reality about the most easiest common sense ever created, you guys can't sit around and torture your fucking victims to death. Okay? There's not any justification that any of you would ever have for torturing your victims to death. And that's what you guys are doing. And that this is where basically I've isolated what would be a form of torture for them, which is to constantly be like explaining everything and to be waking them up at a second life and to be basically putting them back into reality. See, they'll all be wanting to force themselves back into delusions about everything. And so essentially, since they're voyeuring me because I'm narking off their fucking pedal bang camp shit, that's where they start watching and shit. And then I just start deprogramming them to the reality that all of you are going to go to prison for this shit. So there's first life that wakes them up. And then they'll want to go back into amnesia delusions again. And then you just pretty much, then I just find more secrets. And then they'll do whole things. Yeah, these people, they'll start to say that these are what agents are or something. They'll start using these videos. They'll start psychoping people into doing illegal shit. See, you people are psychoping people into doing illegal stuff. That's not allowed. So, if you guys, just because you guys are pissed for exposing all of your guys' Milk Creek shit, that doesn't matter. That's your guys' own fault. You guys are so fucking stupid and dumb that, yeah, you guys were not doing what you needed to do to be keeping that stuff from being seen. It's all of your guys' fault. You people are stupid as fuck. You people went around and pissed off so many people that they gave you guys a faulty procedure for covering up. They did it on purpose. They seeded that stuff to all of you. And it's because you guys sit around, voyeuring out of people's camera eyes all over the world, torturing people in speakers all over the world. And you guys sit around acting like it's some sort of fucking agency. right? You people ain't shit. If anything, you people are like an embedded agency cell right here in Tri Cities. Illegal. So I just want to remind you that if a drug dealer sells drugs and doesn't get arrested, does that make that not a crime? Because they use a theoretic. Well, nobody's arresting us right now. And so then they think that it's legal. And so then these people are always going after drug dealers. And that the cops are always labeling drug dealers that when they see them in these cameras selling drugs as a crime. So I just want to remind all of you, just because that drug dealer didn't get arrested, does that make what he did not a crime? Because people are seeing what all of you are doing. Attempted murder. That's a crime. So just remember that that's the theoretic that you guys use. See how that's reality. See how that's first life. See how that wakes you guys up to reality again. And you see how you guys are going to want to push your psyches right back into delusions and shit. And you see that the things that I do wakes all of you up. Then you guys all essentially go back into delusional world, and then I wake all of you up, and then you guys go back into delusional world, and slowly your psyches will be unable to be naturally like flowing back to delusion land. Over time, you all know what I'm saying. You all know that doing that QA and sound torture shit's illegal. There's no government that wants anybody doing that. They don't need you people doing that stuff. They don't need the people that sit on the outside torturing people into suicide for like not becoming a psychotic pedal bang Mormon. Right? They don't need that. They don't need that. They can get their own people. They can get their own people at home. They don't need a group of fucking delusional crazy people. They don't need that. Pressing buttons, fucking easiest thing in the world. So just remember that you guys aren't any special group of outside CIA or something that attempts to do the illegal stuff because the Geneva Convention problem of the CIA prevents effective methodologies. They don't need any of you for that. They don't need you people doing any of that. That is just all of you lying and manipulating because you guys literally victimized a whole bunch of people and now you guys want them all to die. There's the truth. There's the truth, you guys. That's what you guys are actually doing.